What's up, guys, and welcome back to the Battle of Central Europe Season 3. We are in the lower bracket, and we're going to see Lions go up against House of Gamers. If you could call these guys Lions at all, it's kind of a new team, a mix between old Lions and Drakdrapare. We'll see how they perform. Here on the HeflaTV Hitbox 1 channel, we're going to be bringing you the rest of the games for today. This will be the only set left. I'm Mike Loris, I'm joined by Grandis, and man, what expectations do you have from this Lions team?
I honestly have no idea what to expect. I'm sure all of these players have played with each other and are comfortable with it, but I'm not sure how they mesh together as a team. I don't know, it's going to be a new experience, and I'm not sure you can call them Lions. It's kind of like Lions plus Coast-ish team. I don't know, individually they're pretty skilled players, and they should do decently well up against House of Gamers, and maybe they are just going to be in like a really hot streak. They have their groove already set together, but if they haven't really found their momentum as a team together, maybe House of Gamers have an edge. Honestly, I have no idea. But as far as this draft is concerned, we're going to see a first pick Razor from Lions, and the bans of Ogre Magi, Necrophos taken out, and Lajons and Brewmaster banned by House of Gamers.
And instead of something like a Death Prophet for House of Gamers, it is going to be a Shaker first pick. It is also worth noting that House of Gamers are working with one stand-in themselves, so even though maybe pretty much Lions working with 3 stand-ins or 2 stand-ins depending on how you look at it, there is going to be a little bit of weakness on each team, as they are not completely working with a comfortable full 5-man lineup. But either way, House of Gamers opening with a Shaker first is rather peculiar. It is not uncommon to see Shaker being passed up until, well, sometimes the entire draft, and if he is picked up, he generally tends to be picked up rather late nowadays.
Yeah. Even so, he's still a pretty stable hero to pick up early on. The Death Prophet's still available if they want it, and I definitely wouldn't fault House of Gamers to open with those first 2, but Earthshaker's just generally a really solid support. Fissure's always going to be a good spell, unless you get a really janky block, which a good Earthshaker player shouldn't have happen most of the time, unless you're just having a really bad day. We'll just have to see how House of Gamers are going to utilize that hero. I don't think there's anything strange coming out from it. Now it's going to be a Scarth Mage. This used to be the go-to supporting to own. It's still pretty darn good. Vengeful Spirit for Lions.
Yeah, these 3 used to be like the big support heroes that you want to pick up, and as you said, they're still good. However, placing this much high priority on them, especially the Shaker, is a little bit weird to see. But the Vengeance Skywrath Mage, that's completely not uncommon as far as support picks, and though they are on opposite teams, those 2 heroes work very well both with and against each other. Mystic Flare is something you desperately want to swap your allies out of, and well, of course, Vengeful Spirit giving a little bit of a boost to Razor might mean that Lions want to go down a minor minus armor path, but that, of course, remains to be seen. With someone like a Tidehunter in the pool, they could end up in that kind of strategy without actually trying to go for it, since the Tidehunter is looking pretty good here. They get Drow banned out from them, 2 ranged heroes that do some pretty high damage already, so I like this ban for House of Gamers, whereas for Lions, they're going to take out Slark, and they're going to take out that Spectre.
Yeah. Lions, if they do go for that Tidehunter, it wouldn't be like a traditional minus armor strat where that's the main focus, but kind of a sub-theme where they do have a lot of minus armor to work with. House of Gamers might take that away from them, and there you have it. It's going to be Earthshaker, Scarth Mage, Tidehunter, the opening for House of Gamers, and it's a pretty solid one at that. Some good team fight, decent pick-off potential, and pretty solid laning as well.
Yeah, and Scarth Mage, Earthshaker, they will be able to roam into whatever lane. If they do go into Tidehunter's lane, then maybe an early point of Gush can redeem Tidehunter from a rough early start. At least that should be the plan for House of Gamers, at least to pick up lanes that are perfectly self-sufficient. Someone like a Viper is still in the pool, and, well, I don't see a reason why they shouldn't go for that one. That being said, Lions also can pick that up. It's going to be a Visage for them, so it will be a lot of damage. Maybe we'll see them go for a Lycan down the line, try to get some additional synergy with those familiars, but even without that, the damage output from Lions supports is more on the high end.
Yeah, even though we usually see them paired with the Drow Ranger to make the damage ridiculous out of these 2, even without it, it's still a pretty potent supporting duo, and definitely very good if you're able to get 3 heroes into a lane and get that damage out with the Magic Missile as well as Soul Assumption, a lot of high burst damage. And then the familiars, they're also going to get quite a high amount of usage. I would like to see the Lycanthrope coming out from Lions, and I think it's a hero that they're pretty comfortable with playing. So I would expect that to come out from them in the next pick.
Yeah, we've seen Era play Lycan time and time again in the group stages, and well, even in the previous best of 3 that they played to drop down to the lower bracket. So it would not be surprising for me if they picked that hero
Oh,
up. They could
actually, it
also
really
go for
would.
something like a Templar Assassin and get a little bit more minus armor on the board and have Visage get a little bit more synergy with the familiars in that way. Or they could even do both. Like, that's not out of the question. But House of Gamers, they are going to go for that Viper that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, Lycan's actually banned out. I
Oh, he
didn't
is.
see that he was
Huh.
the first ban, so
Guess no Lycan then.
yeah, scratch that. Viper is going to be a choice for House of Gamers, and for Lions, that is going to change things a little bit. But even without the extra damage on familiars, they still do quite a large amount of damage, especially to the likes of Scarith, Mage, and Earthshaker. Those supports can't really stand up against if you have the full burst combination.
Right, so for Lions, they could go for a little bit more pushing right now, but it seems like they're just going to go very deep into the hero killing with the high damage potential of Visage, Vengeful Spirit. No Lycan on the board, so I mean, what do you like here for Lions? I think TA seems okay, but up against a Viper, it very quickly got to be a pretty bad pick.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know, they are lacking a decent amount of initiation, and I think going for a Batrider might be nice for them. Just pick up the offlaner and then save whatever is mid till later on.
Yeah, I think Batrider is a pretty solid pickup for Lions. It's a hero that Jonathan Fan has played time and time again, so if he is going to be playing the offlane for Lions, of course we don't exactly know, then it should be fine if it does end up being like that. They already have enough damage, honestly, that they don't need to pick up an offlaner that's going to be doing a ton, and aside from the Bat, Centaur already out, Tidehunter already on the other side, your Batrider is kind of going to have a good time. Of course, he will have to worry about Scarith, Mage, and Earthshaker rotations, but you're going to have to worry about that regardless. So I like the Bat here for Lions quite a bit, actually.
Yeah, I think it's just one of the better ones left in the pool. With Centaur, Tidehunter already either taken or banned, it's going to be a Juggernaut, actually, for Lions. A decent amount of pushing power, and this is going to be a really potent killing lane. Coming out from the Juggernaut, Vengeful Spirit, as well as the Visage. Just with like a Grave Chill rundown with the Blade Fury is quite impressive if you're able to isolate a single hero. Maybe Lions even decide to go aggressive.
Yeah, Juggernaut Visage or Juggernaut Vengeful is dangerous enough, but when you add that secondary support hero into that combination, then things are going to get really dangerous for House of Gamers. Now, what's good for House of Gamers is that they have Fissure, which is one of the few tools that supports have that can actually mess with the Juggernaut through his Blade Fury. Of course, you'll have to be very careful with it, but it is possible to slow down the Juggernaut or even slow down the supporting heroes that are right behind the Juggernaut. So I think going aggressive for these 3 heroes for Lions seems to be the best bet right now. Of course, they know 2 heroes of the supports of House of Gamers. They don't quite know who's going to be joining those 2 supports, if it is going to be a tri-lane at all. It is still possible that House of Gamers want to run dual lanes, in which case you don't exactly need a tri-lane with Juggernaut. So Lions, they're the one with a lot of flexibility right now, and it's even better for them since House of Gamers have to pick their last hero before Lions. So Lions get to be responsive in this last picking phase.
Yeah, and I think that's going to be towards their benefit. Clockwork Band coming out from House of Gamers would have functioned in a similar way to the Batrider, just a nice offlaner or solo safe laner, however the lanes actually shake down to give them an initiation edge. And I still think that finding some way to get fights on their terms is going to be very beneficial for Lions. They have a whole bunch of damage with these first 4 heroes, and that's not going to change, but actually finding a fight it might be a little bit problematic for them, especially until Vengeful Spirit gets swap out, and even then, a swap into stun is a decent initiating tool, but it's not the greatest.
Yeah, and they're also kind of low on stuns, Lions. That's why we see the Morphling being banned out, so initiation is going to be all the more important for Lions if they are going to go up against a final core hero of House of Gamers that is very elusive, if it's going to be someone like an Ember Spirit, or if it's going to be something like a Weaver, both of which can get quite a bit of traction in this game. And speak of the devil, it's going to be Ember Spirit. Lions don't exactly have the most stuns and lockdowns. They have a magic missile and they have familiar drops, and you can't always depend on familiar drops to stun Ember Spirit, and you can't even depend on a Vengeful, but you might be able to depend on a blinking call.
Maybe. I don't know. It's an interesting approach coming up from Lions, and I like the axe, but then again, I don't. I think Slider might have been a little bit better as far as just getting a more guaranteed stun. But Call's going to be nice as it goes through BKB, and maybe enough to guarantee those Vicious Familiar drops or a Magic Missile onto the Ember Spirit. If Lions play this incredibly aggressively and get off to a snowbally start, it could be wonderful for them, but I think that House of Gamers, what they're bringing to the table is just all around more stable.
Yeah, I would agree. Of course, it is more flashy on the Lion side, so you got to give them points for that. So I want to see this Axe win because, man, every single time Axe wins, it's just another argument for picking up a different hero. But I could almost promise you that if this was the Lions before this Lions Drakdrapare merger, then they would not be picking up an Axe. So it's definitely a little bit of the coast getting into this Lions lineup, but we'll see if it actually works out for them. For right now, it's going to be Jonas and Van handling that hero down towards the bottom lane, being supported for right now by Seal Kid's Vengeful Spirit. 8 is going to be playing the mid lane Razor, and up towards top, Ira on the Juggernaut is going to be joined by Hanskin the Visage, and it looks like it will be dual lanes for Lions, at least for right now.
And on the Dire side, we're going to have House of Gamers. Their supports Faith and Strangers playing in the Skyrath Mage. Earthshaker played by CY-. I have no idea who that is. But either way, mid lane it's going to be Malum on the Ember Spirit. Top lane Viper played by Slashstrike, leaving last but not least Tidehunter by SLHC.
I think CY, when he just joined the lobby, it might have been, I don't know, might have been someone from My Carry Can't Be This Kawaii. I think I saw that, but it was only for a very small second until his name changed. So that might be where he's from. I've definitely seen CY before, so it's not just House of Gamers picking up some rando in order to join in. So it should be decent enough, but it is going to be dual lanes across the board, it looks like. I think it's really hard, no matter what, to beat this Juggernaut Visage dual lane. And, I mean, even though Slashstrike is a Viper, and Viper in lane is really hard to beat, you could spin to win almost in every lane.
Yeah, even though it might not stun the Juggernaut, I think defensive fissures are going to keep both of these heroes pretty safe, unless it's the Earthshaker to get gone on up and top. And actually, Steel Kid's made his way up towards this top lane, so it's actually not going to be dual lanes. They'll leave the Axe solo versus the Tidehunter. Skyrath Mage currently making his way up towards top as well after poking his face in mid. Maybe going to drop an Arcane Bolt or two onto the Razor and stick around here, but this aggressive trialing coming up from Lions, it's very flashy and has a lot of killer potential if they are able to line up any of their stuns.
And of course, because they are deciding to lane a tri-lane up on top, it's going to be a bottom lane matchup, Axe versus Tidehunter. And this is actually, well, hold on to that thought, because Slashstrike is going to get spun upon. Perfect fissure from CY. Literally could not get any better than that. So going to keep his Viper safe. But Jonas and Van versus Follow SLHZ. This is actually a matchup that I have seen before. And in the past, it has been Axe winning by quite a bit, because Axe is not reliant on his right clicks, and that's where Tidehunter wins in lane. He has Anchor Smash, which reduces the damage, but it does not reduce the damage of counter healing. So Jonas and Fan should have a remarkably great time in this lane, as he will be able to freely harass Tidehunter, and that's something that Tidehunter is not really used to in a 1 versus 1 matchup.
Yeah, it really isn't. I'm kind of surprised that Tidehunter goes for boots in this lane. If he was expecting the trialing coming out from Lions, I'm not sure he would have been able to get much out of it anyway. In the meantime, Malum as well as Faith and Strangers are going to eat a Plasma Field by the Razor, now salved up by his friendly Vengeful Spirit. Steel Kid is going to make this a dual lane versus dual lane setup in mid.
So I think this dual lane very slightly favors Lions. Honestly, I don't even think the Razor needs the help right now, as he is pretty much right on par with Malum. I don't know, do you think that the Vengeful Spirit will be doing better here or up on top? Because I don't really know, it's going to be close.
Yeah, I think she's going to be able to accomplish something wherever she ends up, and Juggernaut's farming very freely in this lane. Even though up against the Viper, they're controlling the lane equilibrium very well, and I think it's okay that Vengeful Spirit sits in mid. I think they have more killing potential up top if she's there, but I think just making sure that 8 alive and able to farm is better.
Well, no matter what happens, it's still going to be Juggernaut farming a lot better than I really would expect up on this top lane. He has to worry about occasionally Viper poking forward, but at the same time, Viper is kind of just scared in this lane. So I think just the Vengeful Spirit showing her face a little bit, the threat of the Grave Chill into spin, that's enough to keep the Viper back. He only has 2 CS. That is, completely baffling to me. I would expect him to be pretty much with everyone else in the double-digit area.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I thought that even though Grave Chill into Blade Fury is really scary, if Earthshaker's in position, I thought he'd be able to farm pretty nicely in this lane. But after such a slow start, Era's going to have a lot more farm to deal with this Viper, and Viper likes to get ahead early and then maintain that, instead of, I don't know, playing on the back foot. This is just not a very comfortable position, or a position we're going to see Vipers in very often.
And also the Radiant do have Observer Wards over the pole. They're going to open up a Slashstrike. Fissure, once again, perfect by CY, keeping Slashstrike safe. That one could have been much more dangerous, as the difference between landing that fissure and missing that fissure was, mere single digits in range. But Juggernaut, anyway, is going to try to go for Slash Strike. Not going to happen. CY certainly doing his job as Shaker, keeping this Viper alive, but at the same time, he's not getting too much. This is not really House of Gamers with a full-on dual lane, because the Earthshaker isn't pulling at all. He's just forced to sit here and play defensively for the Viper, and I mean, that's kind of Earthshaker's job, but at the same time, it's a safe lane. You should be pulling.
Yeah. I don't know. The pulls are pretty risky as well, because that opens up either a kill onto the Earthshaker himself or onto the lane. Although they don't block the pull, they do have vision completely over that area, and HOG, they don't have sentries or any way to stop that, and ward's going to stick there for the entire duration. Vengeful Spirit with an Invis Rune might give us some sort of setup for a kill, but since the Dire Observer ward spotted that pickup, I doubt Ember Spirit's going to be caught out by it at the very least. We'll just have to see how this positioning is going to work out for either side.
Well, they literally just saw the VS pick it up. Maybe they're going to assume that she's going up towards the top lane. Either way, Malum does have the shield up right now, so even if Seal Kid goes in, getting a kill is going to be unlikely. However, Faith in Strangers, he has to be very careful not to step that far up. They did see it, right? Like, unless they just completely botched it, they should know exactly what is going on. Up towards top, a couple of traded hits here and there, but Ira has level 1 in the healing ward, and that's really all you need for this early stage if you're not planning on an early push. So any poking damage that House of Gamers is going to put onto Lions isn't really going to stick, whereas it will stick on the going the other way around.
Yeah, bottom lane's the matchup that we haven't been talking about, mostly because it's more or less a farm fest. Axe slightly coming out ahead, 31-3, compared to 20-0 on the Tidehunter, but we now have level 6, as well as Arcane Boots onto SLHZ, so maybe that's going to be the opening to look for our first blood, at least for now. The early game started out very passively, mostly due to the way that HOG is playing their safe lane, but either way, I was expecting first blood a lot earlier than this.
Yeah, especially when you have a Juggernaut Visage dual lane. I mean, CY has been doing his job to make sure first bloods have not been happening, but still, it's been Lions with kind of a more aggressive lineup. Late game Juggernaut is okay and everything, but you would expect Lions to be playing super aggressively right now, and they just haven't found an opening just yet. And because Axe has picked up a Ring of Health instead of straight up rushing a Blink Dagger, initiations for Lions is going to be relatively limited until, well, I think House of Gamers are going to be the ones to pull the trigger first. Maybe once Ember Spirit gets level 6, that seems probably the most likely for action to start happening.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Currently, Malum eats himself a magic missile, but now turning into Seal Kid. Very strong. Does have chains. Will lock him down. TP attempt from Seal Kid. Probably going to succeed. He will make it back to base on very low HP. Call from Jonas Sunfan, but now silenced up. He's going to be pursued. And that Flame Guard doing a whole chunk of damage. Is able to stick charge, but now with the Ravage. That's going to be first blood picked up by Faith in Strangers. 8 Mother joins the fray, bottling up for a little bit of extra mana. Is able to get a link off onto SLHC, but TPOA will keep Tidehunter completely safe. Doesn't even go all the way back to base because he doesn't have to. Back at his tier 2 tower. He'll be back in farming in no time.
Man, Jonas and Fan not respecting that Flame Guard. You're tanky as Axe for sure, but you're not that tanky to magical damage. And really, Axe doesn't have any ways right now of cutting through that shield unless he wants to use Culling Blade as a nuke, which is probably not what you want to do ever. So Axe had no way of burning through that shield. He knew that he was going to be taking dots from it the entire time, and he just didn't care. So Jonas Fan has to be much more careful with dealing with that Ember Spirit moving forward. Like, as good as it is to get a call on him and try to lock him down, getting the kill is a whole different story entirely. Top lane, smoke attempted, but that smoke was doomed to fail. Just running up the lane to try to catch a Viper with phase boots, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, Slush Drake has come back into this lane, now farming pretty evenly up against the Juggernaut. So things are looking up for House of Gamers after that first blood. It's still anybody's game and fairly even on all sides, but now SLHC being pursued by the Axe as well as the Razor. He's going to survive, just walks it off with a little bit of help from the Spores. Now bringing Malum, gets the double chains, but the call after from the Axe, he gets one spin, but that's not enough to kill off Malum, not dropping it below the threshold, still 15 HP until he's going to be at that spot, and everybody survives and walks out of there cleanly.
Yeah, but the important thing here is that Lions now do know about the Tidehunter stack. In the meantime, Ira, spinning to win against the Viper, finally did come together, just not at the proper timing, or not the timing I expected. Faith and Strangers leaving the lane, CY also leaving the lane to help out in that scenario, and that's just going to buy time for Lions to strike up towards top. But as I was saying, Lions, they now know that there's a substantial stack here for the Tidehunter, and Axe can clear out stacks pretty well. So they're going to jack that, and they take most of the high-value creeps here. Although Jonas Fan is really getting roughed up. He's going to run straight into Malum. Jonas Fan is going to try to TP out. Chains are going to miss, but the damage is going to be enough regardless. 8 Mother stealing quite a bit of damage to Malum, returning quite a bit of it as well, but he's just getting too much from the other two heroes. Malum's going to slip away, and that's going to be 2 kills in favor of House of Gamers. And hey, just like that, SLHG gets still most of his Ancient stack.
Yeah, and it's going to be 2 kills on top of it. House of Gamers, after a really slow start and their lanes appearing to lose, it is going to be them striking back, but still Juggernaut hasn't really been touched in the farm department, has 1 assist to his name, and there's still plenty of kill potential. Now with the Omni/Online, Era can pretty much run down anybody if there's any sort of disable from either of the supports. Still waiting on level 6 for Visage, but since they've been mostly in dual lanes, Hanskin is going to have that faster than we usually see a Visage do.
Yeah, and especially when you compare him to a level 4 Earthshaker, and well, there's a Skywrath Mage with level 6, actually. Faith and Strangers with the dual lane-ish situation going towards mid has gotten himself quite a bit of experience. I think mostly because he's been around in those kills, so the kills experience certainly being relevant right now, but Lions are leading the way in the last hit chart. Net worth kind of looking pretty similar as well. House of Gamer is actually falling substantially behind. Tidehunter is on the top, mostly because he just cleared out such a large Ancient stack, but everyone else on House of Gamers not looking too great, so and even though they do have 2 kills, the net worth isn't really following that. However, they might find more. Faith and Stranger is going to run straight to Hanskin. Fissure into Mystic Flare is going to be set up, and Hanskin is going to take a very quick fall. Visage is down, and you know, even if he had max Gravekeeper's Cloak, I think he would have died. So, wrong place, wrong time for the Visage.
Yeah, definitely, and well, still we're kind of in a passive stage. Down in bottom, Dive comes out from Jonas Sunfan, not getting enough spins to kill off SLHC, and he'll be able to walk that one off. But Jonas Sunfan, even after dying twice, is still maintaining the aggression. It looks like he might commit fully to the Vanguard, but maybe he's saving up for the Blink. We don't know. Jump in mid, coming out from Malum. We'll start pursuing Steel Kid, but won't be able to connect with the chain. Steel Kid's going to survive.
But bottom lane, they're going to continue the dive onto SLHG. There's nowhere safe here. Axe is pretending the tower doesn't exist. However, he's taking a lot of damage. Now the Ravage with Axe in tower aggro range. CY is going to teleport straight into a call and is going to be brought down. No decapitation just yet, but Jonas Fan still has that. Can turn around to SLHG, but he messes it up. Just barely short of the threshold. Now Hanskin is going to actually kill the Tidehunter with 1 more soul assumption. So it is going to be a 2-for-1 down on the bottom lane. And also someone else died, I think, somewhere else. Yeah, Juggernaut just killed off the Skywrath Mage, so I guess an Omni-Slash? Yeah, just Omni-Slash on a lonely support hero. That happened as well, so it is going to be 3-for-1, and now going for Malum towards mid, or at the very least trying to get this tower. They will not get the tower deny House of Gamers, so it's going to be a pretty nice series of wins for Lions.
Yeah, definitely. Even though Axe messed up the dunk, if Jonas Sunfan got that off, he would have survived and been completed with his Vanguard, or halfway towards his Blink, whichever item he'd decide to go for after the fact, probably the Vanguard. But still, it's going to work out for them since they come out on top in the raw trade department, and Jonas Sunfan going to go back to his pushing business down in bottom, spinning down these creeps whenever he can, and he'll maintain a lot of farm just with that. And Lions, all 3 of their cores are currently at the top net worth chart, mostly because of the last hits they've been able to pick up.
And even the one of the supports in the Visage, though he doesn't have a lot of net worth, he has pretty much exactly what he wants, and that's the Medallion. So he's going to be doing a lot of damage, not only just for himself, but also for the other heroes of Lions, especially the Axe, who does get additional damage because of the minus armor from Counter Helix. So a little bit of minor synergy coming through there, and really that's all you need for a Visage, and he's going to be pretty happy that he has that. They're going to look to take down this bottom tier 1 tower. Axe has previously been cutting the creep wave quite a bit, so tower's already taken quite a beating, and House of Gamers, though they can defend this, I don't really know if they want to. They know that Razor and Axe are here at the very least. That's dangerous enough. Now they know that the Familiars are here as well, and you don't really want to engage into this without a Ravage.
Oh, we're going to see Magic Missile in mid on SLHC. Now being spun on by Era, the damage is pretty significant, but SLHC isn't dying immediately as stick charges and will survive. Anchor Smash onto both. SLHC will be Omni-Slashes. Era secures that kill.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta do what you gotta do to get the kill. If you're gonna go that deep and bring a Tidehunter that low, you kind of just have to pull that last trigger and get that final hit. It's a kill nonetheless, even though Omni-Slash would have rather liked to use that on someone who was a little bit healthier. It's still Tidehunter down. It's going to buy even more space for the bottom lane, as Tidehunter does have Ravage refreshed, but it looks like there's going to be no defense on bottom. It's instead going to be towards top, where we set our attention, as Vengeful Spirit and Era, Seal Kid Era, they're going to look for initiation. They have a swap, and this might be a surprise to the Viper. Seal Kid, a very fresh level 6, so Viper's got to watch out, but it seems like they know, for the most part, what's going on.
Yeah, Slash Strike this game, excuse me, is going to be committing after the Aquila and the Bracer, presumably into drums, instead of going for a more standard treads into mechanism build, and it's worked out decently for him. But Slash Strike on a Viper, it's not really the traditional safe lane farming carry that's going to get some major items and then put the game on his back and do the damage. Really, the strength of Viper is that he's going to win his lane, and that just hasn't been the case this game. Even though he's farming decently, he's died once, been involved in 1 kill, but that's it.
And similar situation for the Ember Spirit. They both have around even amounts of farm. And now Slash Strike is going to get hit with the Magic Missile. Swap back right next to the 8 Mother Razor. So Ira's a little bit out of position. Now Ravage going to be committed. Slash Strike, though, still doing no damage as Venture Spirit does get brought down by the Titan. It's still Slash Strike on the run. One more whip will kill him off. Now Ira trying to get to the rest of his team with that healing ward. Here comes Malum, at least thinking about it. 8 Mother's going to spot that out, and this Razor has plus 168 damage. You do not want to fight this Razor any longer if you're House of Gamers. Jonas fan even coming in with a haste rune is going to find Faith in Strangers, and well, Faith in Strangers is going to be guaranteed called unless it's going to be him going for someone else. He's going to try to go for the Tide, who has a blink, and well, that ends up letting the Skywrath Mage get away. Yet, regardless, House of Gamers, they are repelled from their top lane, and even though there's not as many kills as Lions probably hoped for, they're still going to get this tower, which is still pretty good.
Yeah, it's definitely a win for them, and they can keep on doing this. Their heroes right now are just so incredibly strong. They don't have the level 11 ultimate for Juggernaut, which is a little unfortunate for them, but still, they're getting a lot of tools to keep up this aggression. And Jonas Sunfan, even after backing up for the Vanguard, is almost at the gold for his Blink Dagger, and once they have that, HOG won't be able to make as clean as escapes as we have seen from them previously.
And even though he has gone for the Blink Dagger, it feels like it's been delayed forever, but it's still only 15 minutes in. Like, he's going to have a Blink Dagger at a reasonable timing, and it just feels like it's so delayed because he's gotten so much farm, which is not something we ordinarily see from axes. So he's going to be, exactly where he needs to be, because he's going to clear off a giant Ancient stack. That's certainly going to help. So Blink Dagger now secured for Jonas and Fan, and now Lions, they've already been playing this rather aggressively. Their pushing really isn't the strongest, but they've just been catching House of Gamers off guard, where House of Gamers had no Ravage or something like that, so there is no option to defend there for the Dire. And now with the blinking call, the Lion side are going to be able to start fights more conveniently on their own terms, outside of a random Magic Missile swap, which is okay, but not exactly ideal.
They are going to make their way over towards the Roshan pit, potentially bumping into the Ember Spirit on the way. Let's see. The smoke isn't going to pop, and they're just going to walk into the Rosh pit and presumably take it fairly easily. They have the Medallion. They don't have the greatest of teams in order to take Rosh, but it should suffice.
Well, they're going to use a Howl of Terror. Dire only have a Sentry Ward here, so they still don't know exactly what's going on. And, well, the Dire are actually going towards the top lane, expecting someone to be there. And I think if Lions weren't actually killing Roshan right now, that would be a reasonable assumption. But unfortunately for the Dire, they're not going to find anyone, as Jonas and Van is actually going to be the one to take a double life. I suppose mostly just because Iro wasn't right there, so they're going to have someone take it. Axe is usually one of the last ones to die, unless he just absolutely goes suicidal mode, which is, I guess, now a thing that he can do, but I don't know. I guess it's just experience and gold for anyone, and he just may or may not be relevant, but it still will give them enough gas to push down the bottom lane.
Yeah, I'm okay with them giving the Aegis to the Axe. I think I'd rather have an Axe be able to go super suicidal mode than Juggernaut be able to survive, especially since he's more reliant on his ultimate cooldown than Axe's. He can still do a whole lot of damage without his spells up. Razor in the mid lane is going to be jumped by SLHC, but now returning with the Magic Missile and Arrow chasing him with the drums. Will be able to get this kill one way or another with the Blade Fury now activated. It is going to be SLHC to fall in a killing spree for Era.
So that's a tower and a kill going the way of Lions. I believe Slash Strike killed, yeah, Slash Strike up on top took down a tier 1 tower, but still it's a tier 1 for a tier 2 with an extra kill for Lions. So no matter how you slice it, it is going to be a win for the Radiant. And, well, a couple more items are going to be coming up. We have almost a completed Crimson Guard for Axe. In fact, it is completed as soon as he wants to fly that one out. So that's a pretty nice pickup for himself. The Razor looks like he's going to go straight for a BKB, and Ira's kind of split between an Aghanim Scepter and Yasha, but when you compare those items to what House of Gamers has, which is drums, and that's it, and that's pretty impressive for Lions.
Yeah, it definitely is. And now Tier 2 Tower in mid is going to suffer a similar fate to the one in bottom, and it looks like it's going to be taken, although this one might be denied. It's still map control dissolving around House of Gamers, and they should be able to secure that tower. Last hit, the catapult isn't going to be able to get one more, but now Jonas Sunfan jumping in for a call onto SLHD. He's going to be able to get the Ravage off onto 4. Now with the Mystic Flare into air, they're going to be able to burst down the Juggernaut before he gets the Omni Slash. Now focusing on SLHD, they will be able to get the dunk kill onto the Tidehunter as the chains are now committed to Handskin. Malum going to be able to focus down the Visages inside the base. The rest of the Euros are diving, and Jonas Sunfan wants to get this Aegis off him. He's going to get Echo Sign right at tier 4s, get the dunk, and then will lose the Aegis. He should be able to blink cleanly out of here. The Ember Spirit still pursuing potentially a kill onto Ape Mother if he finds an opening at all. But now with Axe back online, House of Gamers with just the Scarth Mage and the Ember Spirit probably shouldn't be taking fights.
It is still going to be a 3-for-2 with Lions also losing Aegis. However, Jonas Sunfan going to run straight into Malum, taking quite a bit of damage from this amplified seal. And while Jonas Sunfan, as tanky as he may be with the Vanguard, is not tanky enough due to all this magic damage, and he's going to fall, making it a strictly one fight for House of Gamers. And well, that's the price that you pay of having an Axe with an Aegis. Yes, he is allowed to go that deep and kill off someone like an Earthshaker, but Juggernaut got completely locked down with the Seal and the Ravage, could literally cast no skills in that, and well, House of Gamers are fighting a 5v4 from there on out. Maybe it would have been better if they had the Juggernaut with the Aegis in that situation, but yeah, I don't know. It's certainly going to be different case by case. Regardless, the tower was brought down by Lions, so a little bit more map control for them, but not taking the cleanest of fights. They really have to watch out for this Tidehunter, because I mean, they did get a call on him with, what, 3 or 4 creeps, but that just wasn't enough damage. If Ira was allowed to spin, if he wasn't silenced, then maybe, but initiating onto a Tidehunter like that and grouping up around the focal point of that Ravage is asking for trouble.
Definitely is. Lions still have the momentum on their side, but Ember Spirit survives that fight and is now going to be working onto some sort of big damage item, presumably a Battle Fury. He has backed off for a lot of stat items, Poor Man's Shield, Bottle, Aquila, Drums. Malum's not going to be super scary at this point in the game, but eventually that is going to be a concern for Lions that they'll have to deal with it. Now Era being pursued bottom is going to be sold by the Concussive Shot, but does get off his Healing Ward. Handskin chained, but Ember Spirit going to make it back towards mid, and everybody else backs off. Just some casual harass, if you can even call it that.
Well, up towards top, SLHZ is going to find Jonas and Fan. He already used the call. Magic Missile has already been used as well. Tidehunter is now going to get swapped back. Here comes some Familiars. Even the Crimson being used just for good measure. With the Familiars here, I'm pretty sure Tidehunter is doomed to fall. He's not going to get chopped because of the silence, but they will slowly beat him down, and Tidehunter is going to go down regardless. Faith in Strangers really has to be careful because the Axe still has another Blink call, though he does have Shaker here. The Mystic Flare onto Seal Kid, not quite going to kill off. Now the Reinitiation onto Faith in Strangers, chopping him down. Seal Kid with a stun onto CY. Here comes the Ember Spirit, will kill off that Venge. CY is going to slip away for now. Jonas the Fan, though, I think is more than happy to fight this one out. Gets another call onto Malum with still the Familiars in the area. The Vipers here, however, and Lions getting massively outnumbered, but Jonas the Fan still fighting to death, looking for another chop, but won't quite find it. Dies halfway. Here comes Ira, though, has an Omni Slash, and it has Malum's name written all over it. That's going to kill off the Ember Spirit. Now onto Slash Strike. He will get caught with the Viper Strike, so Ira is not going to be able to continue this chase, but this is still a beneficial trade for Lions, taking 2 for 3, and all the while, bottom lane is being pushed by Lions. Unfortunately, Handskin was not helping out with that, but still, I mean, it looked pretty good for House of Gamers since they kept on reinforcing, but Lions, their Vengeful lasted so much longer than I really expected, and same thing with their Axe.
Yeah. Era doesn't go entirely into the Aghanim Scepter build. He goes for a Yasha afterwards, so that's going to delay the Ags immediately for Era, but still, those Omni Slashes are going to start to really sting House of Gamers. Their physical resistance on their team is very limited, and pretty much anybody that gets caught out by that is going to fall. No Ghost Scepter is even being saved up for on their team.
Yeah, and Juggernaut actually might even be going for a Sanjin Yasha here. No, just a casual Yasha after the point boost. I'm like, well, Yasha Ogre Club, I wonder what that means. But it is going to be the Aghanims eventually completed from Ira. And then once that happens, I'm pretty sure no matter who he finds, with the exception of Ember Spirit, is just going to die to an Omni Slash. Maybe Tidehunter will have enough to withstand it, but it doesn't seem like anyone else will, since Viper hasn't gone for that mech build. If he had that, then, well, for sure he would be able to survive, but someone who's not going to be able to survive is the top lane, Skywrath Mage. A couple more chops from Ira after a swap, and that's going to be a very easy kill for Lions to take. It might be returned on the bottom lane, where Ape Mother has a BKB, so he doesn't have to worry about a lot of physical damage. He's going to be just fine, so it's just a clean pick off. And now Jonas the Fan going to run into Malum. Already the shield goes up for the Ember Spirit, burning down the Axe pretty decently. Crimson Guard is there, but I mean, House of Gamers aren't actually hitting this Axe, so he's not actually doing that much damage, and nor is he taking it. CY is awkwardly left behind, and Seal Kid and 8 Mother are not helping Jonas and Fan with this. They should probably go and kill the Earthshaker. I feel like that's probably worth their time. Where is Shaker going? He's going to try to TP out of there. Where's the blink call? Where's the swap? Where's anything? Seal Kid and 8 Mother, they just let that Earthshaker go for free. But meantime, top lane, Omni Slash being used onto the Viper, going to put him 6 feet under. Era is going to help kill off the tower. Now Malum is going to actually kill off the Juggernaut and now try to go for the Visage, which you will get. Familiar's not quite doing enough damage, even with that Medallion. Anchor Smash going to kill off one of the Familiars, and Malum gets to live.
Wow, I was not expecting that big of a turnaround from the Ember Spirit, but that's huge for them. Currently sitting on 3,000 gold, has the completed Battle Fury now at 23 minutes in. After all of these stat items, that's a really good timing for Ember Spirit.
Yeah, and it didn't seem like he was going to get that. Seemed like he was far behind, but 5-1-4, Malum has been quietly killing off people in the background, and especially getting those 2 kills right there. It's going to be a pretty huge pickup for this Ember. Of course, it's not going to be the end-all, as still he's up against some pretty threatening items from the other team, but hey, I mean, any sort of item you could get is going to be fantastic, and that is going to be a completed Fury for him. His Ancient stack is going to get cleaned up, and Lions, now they have a completed Aghanim Scepter, so I mean, as nice as it is to pick up an item for the Ember Spirit, there is an equally powerful, if not more so, item on Lions. Actually, 2 of them, because Razor has his Aghanims as well, so there's going to be even more pushing power from Lions, and this is about the time where they want to push up high ground. Maybe they're going to wait for Razor level 16 before they really do it, but as long as they have Omni Slash, they're going to be looking for opportunities.
Yeah, 36 seconds on cooldown for Omni Slash, so they have that backup available, so they'll probably wait for that cooldown. Roshan is going to be quite a long timer, and so we're probably not going to see contention around that pit, but maybe both of these teams are just going to chill until then. Either way, Lions, do you need to think about any of the games soon enough? As if Ember Spirit gets another Battle Fury and a Daedalus on top of this, he could become very hard for Lions to manage. So they are under a little bit of pressure, but at least for now, it's not that much.
Yeah, they're getting enough items so that though they are on a timer, they're extending the timer with every single pickoff. They're extending the timer with every single item purchase. So it's going to be them still in a decent situation, especially since Hanskin is going for an Aghanim Scepter of his own. So even the supports for Lions going to start to itemize pretty heavily. There's a 4-staff on Scourth Mage, not quite a Blink Dagger on CY, although he will have that one very shortly. A Blink Dagger on Earthshaker will let House of Gamers try to get a little bit more presence on this map, as right now they're kind of bottled up in their base just because they don't have the towers to protect them. So the Earthshaker picking up that item is going to be a huge asset moving forward, if he does find the farm for it. He is spotted out by 8 Mother, but 8 Mother has his eyes set on the bottom lane instead, where perhaps Lions are trying to bait in the enemy. They should know exactly what's going on right now, and their Razor is going to bump into everyone. Still with the Invis rune, Slash Strike, Faith in Strangers, and SLHG are going to be on the receiving end of the Omni Slash. However, Era gets the spin out first, just to keep him safe versus that silence. Now the BKB is up from 8 Mother. They're going to chase down Slash Strike and Faith in Strangers. Omni Slash, not going to happen. Era gets fogged. And you shouldn't be getting fogged in this type of game, but it's going to be SLHG and the back end who's going to get caught by Jonas and Fan. Not quite enough damage to kill off this Tidehunter. Battle Hunger is going to help him give chase. And now SLHG in the trees is going to make a clean retreat out. That's no kills going for Lions. That is actually pretty surprising. That was the BKB charge used and a clean escape for House of Gamers.
Yeah, it's going to be a little bit of an opening. If Roshan was up, maybe they'd be able to take it, and it is going to be up very shortly, so maybe Lions will spot that out and get that objective because of it, but you're also fighting in a Roshan pit up against a Blink Ravage and a Blink Echo Slam, which is just not a very happy place to be, especially when you have Malum with the Battle Fury getting a lot of cleave value, so they're going to be forced to back out. They didn't use the Omni Slash, so Lions still have their fighting tools as well, but this is pretty scary.
Well, Faith in Strangers is going to be the one leading the charge versus Jonas Fan. SLHG gets 4 staff in. He's going to find Seal Kid off to the side, going to straight TP out, but the chains are going to cancel this one. Seal Kid almost doomed to fall. Get the swap out of Faith in Strangers just because. And now Jonas Fan caught in a corner. Echo Slam is going to be used for stealing the Vengeful Spirit kill, I suppose. But Jonas Fan fighting up against 3 is going to put a lot of damage into CY before he goes down, but it's pretty much just CY walking out of here. Although House of Gamers, they're losing a lot on the back end. It's going to be Juggernaut cleaning up with an Omni Slash. That's 3 for 2. Man, damage coming out of nowhere, and Faith in Strangers up on the high ground now. It looks like the spin is hitting him, but it's not. But with the Familiars there, they will take out a 4th. Era coming in huge with that Omni Slash. That looked really terrible for Lions, but all of a sudden, House of Gamers just all died. That axe put a lot of damage out before he fell.
Yeah. 12 jumps on that Omni Slash coming out from the Juggernaut is pretty insane when it only lands on the heroes, and since they were fighting in the river, it didn't matter that they were grouped up as a team, and in fact it probably hurt them more, and now that's going to be Aegis and double life for Era. He's going to have to part ways with his Ring of Basilius, but after that fight, Era now sitting on the 3,200 gold on top of his already pretty hefty inventory for this portion of the game. It's looking good for Lions, and they probably want to try to replicate that fight. Still Ravage available for House of Gamers, however, so it's not a clean-cut push coming out from Lions, but eventually they should be able to do that.
And the beauty of Juggernaut with an Omni Slash is that they are ready to fight pretty much whenever they need to be. Omni Slash is pretty much always in a perpetual state of being up, whereas the Ravage has a lot more downtime. So Era now has a completed Manta style, and Juggernaut, though he is not usually considered the hardest of carries, can certainly get there when he has this much net worth. 14,000 at this stage of the game is pretty high for any hero, and well, Juggernaut is kind of similar to the Mirana in that sense, as he is able to carry, but he needs quite a bit. This is the quite a bit that you need, and he's going to run straight into Slash Strike with the Yasha movement speed. Jonas Fan going to blind call. Viper's fast enough because he has a Yasha Manta style as well, so no kill just yet, but they are setting up for a push. It looks like potentially on the top lane. Hanskin wants to go bottom, though. I think Aghanim Scepter on Visage is worth waiting for.
Fair enough, and that Aghanim Scepter is going to come out in 400 gold for the Visage, so he's going to have that really soon. He's going to bump into Malum, now being chained down to the ground. However, Malum needs to be careful. We'll be forced to jump out of there. The Scarlet Mage Mystic Flare is going to drop Visage fairly low, but a Healing Ward's going to mean that that damage isn't going to stick.
So it's a clean escape for everyone, and still the Juggernaut has his Omni Slash, he has his Aegis, and instead of going to the top lane, it looks like it's going to be bottom lane. I guess as long as they push something, it's going to be fine, and they have made their choice. Still the Visage is sitting in the background and farming, so maybe they're not going to commit into this all the way. They're probably going to try to just place a couple wards, try to jack some Ancients, and then we'll be okay with that, but right now their Aegis is burning daylight right now, and Hanskin's still not that much closer to his Aghanim Scepter ultimate. 8-Mother has his level 3 ultimate, so this is pretty much where the Razor wants to be right now. And I think there should be a refresher incoming, but that's certainly not an item that you really want to wait for, mostly because he's so far away from it.
Fair enough. We have a smoke being purchased by the Scarlet Mage, and potentially an opening for them to find if they're able to get a good jump. They will blink forward by SLHZ, but that accomplishes nothing but a couple of creeps being cleared. And Lions currently are pretty much bottling up HOG, except for the Ember Spirit. He is sitting on a remnant inside his base. It's at the tier 3 tower up in top lane, so he'll be able to join the fight fairly quickly, and he's going to be forced to use that now. He's really the only one that can leave this base, and now with the spin, popped on Era, is able to put some significant damage on this tier 3 tower, and really spent nothing for it except for a little bit of mana.
I don't know the Arcane Boot status of Lions. Doesn't seem like they have the most mana sustain on the team, so Era, though he does have an Aegis, he's going to have to be very careful about doing that. It is a way to go, because when you are in that spin, you can hit towers, and it is pretty safe versus House of Gamers. Viper Strike still goes through, but no damage goes through, so all in all, it's not the worst, but he can only do it so many times. Juggernaut isn't exactly the smartest hero in the game, but they have picked up their Aghanim Scepter now on Visage, so he has the triple familiars. Hopefully for him, they don't get cleaved down by an Ember Spirit or something like that. But either way, 8-Mother is now breaching the high ground with his ultimate active. Viper putting a lot of damage into this Razor, however. There is a healing ward right behind 8-Mother. So any damage that is going to be applied to the Razor, it's kind of the story of the game, is not going to stick.
Yeah, well, Lions are still trying to push this in. The Aegis, it's going to start wearing out fairly soon, but they still have a minute or so until that's going to be the case for Era. So they definitely want to try to accomplish something. There's your T3 tower being taken, not denied by the Viper, even though he did attempt it. It is Visage to get that tower destruction. In the meantime, Ember Spirit's getting tier 2 tower top, however, so it's not terrible for House of Gamers. At least they're getting something.
And it looks like they will be pursued as they try to make the retreat out of the top lane. Razor has a BKB, and SLHZ and Slash Strike, they might not even have enough damage to kill off 8-Mother if he does decide to turn around, and if he links up Slash Strike, he's going to take a lot of damage. Now gets swapped out. Sealkid is going to interrupt the TP and actually give his life because of it. I think the Razor would have been fine, but now Sealkid is in a lot of danger, and the Razor is also going to be pursued out as well. Chained to the floor, and he's going to get wailed on by Slash Strike and Malum. Did the Venge just kill off his Razor? I think that might have just happened.
Yeah, there's no way that they could have canceled that through the BKB, and he had plenty duration to TP back towards the base. And I think Vengeful Spirit also could have survived if she didn't swap. I don't know, only time would have told, but I don't think House of Gamers, unless he got really lucky with the crits of the Ember Spirit, could have had enough physical damage to kill off Razor. So potentially a little bit of a misplay, but it's going to be House of Gamers finding some nice pickoffs on the retreat of Lions, and now going to be looking for a tier 1 tower of their own. Axe is currently on a secret mission. I believe he's just going to be cutting the creeps, and if he found it, a courier would have been really nice for him, but he is going to make sure that continuing this push is really hard for House of Gamers.
Yes, House Gamers can no longer push this wave as they're completely without creeps. Backdoor protection will brick wall them. It's Lions just buying a little bit of time so that their Razor is going to respawn again. And well, when he is going to be back up, he now has a fresh plate mail, and well, it looks like he's going to go for a Shiva's for the team, although Assault Cuirass wouldn't be too terrible either. Lions are starting to pick up a whole lot of late game oriented items on their heroes, as Axe is going to be going straight for a Heart of Tarask, it seems. This is a pretty threatening item on Axe, although he is kind of getting to the point where you could ignore him after the call. During the call, you have no choice. So as long as Jonas Fan gets good initiations, this Heart is going to be pretty nice for him, and it's going to remain true to the theme of this game where Lions are taking chip damage that's not actually sticking.
And for Juggernaut, his next item of choice, it's going to be a Basher, presumably into an Abyssal Blade for him. This is a really scary item for Juggernaut. His base attack time is amazing, 1.4, best in the game, I believe, after some recent changes, and that's going to mean that these bashes are going to be very hard for House of Gamers to deal with, and possibly chains on the Ember Spirit. He is hitting about twice every second, and he will be stunned pretty consistently.
Well, Jonas Fan going to put himself in a little bit of trouble, but he's going to find a couple of illusions of himself, get the call out, as well as the Blade Mail, taking a lot of damage, returning more into Faith in Strangers. Jonas Fan will get cleaned up, but he will be at the trade of the Shaker. Now here comes Triple Familiars. We'll put a lot of damage to SLC with the Omni Slash, going to kill off that Tide, as well as the Viper. Malum in the Roche Pit is going to try to TP out, swap, stun, anything. There it is. Malum is now doomed to fall as well. That's a triple kill for Handskin. Those Familiars doing so much damage there, even just with the triple drops. And of course, Eero with the Omni Slash cleaning everyone up. Suddenly, only Skywrath Mage is alive to defend. And House of Gamers, they're going to have to expend some buybacks right now. But the crucial thing is that they don't have... Oh, they do have buyback on Tide. Never mind. So they have buyback on everyone, but this is going to be a lot of gold out of pocket, because if they don't buy back, they're going to lose something big.
Yeah, and that's something right now is going to be the ranged barracks bottom. They're not buying back for it immediately, and they might even lose the melee barracks too. They're not coming back into this, and Era going to make quick work of that structure. And there you go, first lane of barracks going cleanly the way of Lions, and they're going to rotate mid. Buybacks are being held by House of Gamers. Now with the Ember Spirit buyback, Lions can just back out here, safe in what they've taken. But with the healing ward down the ground, they get the tier 3 tower on top of it. I don't think they go for any more. They are going to put those illusions onto the range barracks to get a little bit more chip, but it's not going to really accomplish much. Still, Lions have completely blown this game wide open. Vladimir is offering on the Visage, Assault Cuirass on the Razor. The tower pushing is going to be that much scarier for them, and Juggernaut getting close to getting his completed Abyssal.
And House of Gamers, because they waited for that buyback, it could have been still Lions deciding to fight, because Juggernaut would have had another Omni Slash, but I mean, House of Gamers, they weren't able to output that Ravage in that last fight, so maybe next time it's going to be a little bit different, but I mean, this Axe just took such a beating before he went down, and he took the Earthshaker down with him, almost completely killed off the Skywrath Mage just because of the Blade Mail, so Skywrath is going to have to be very careful about that. That was kind of a scouted fight previously from Lions in the river area, but it worked out so well because the person who was most out of that formation was Axe, and that's completely okay. Faith in Strangers is going to put himself deep behind enemy lines, and he's in quite a pickle right now. Triple Familiar drop, or just a swap right into Handskin. That's also going to do it, and I think Faith in Strangers is going to fall. All of that for an Observer Ward to spot out a hard camp, probably not worth it. Now Era is going to catch Malum, but he will escape. Yeah, Skywrath Mage just going really deep for a ward that is not that essential. If it was a Roche ward, maybe, but you can't even see Roshan with that ward.
Yeah. As far as Juggernaut is concerned, he's going to find Viper potentially inside the jungle. Blink forward, looking for the Omni Slash, not going to find it. Now chained down to the ground. Era's not going to be able to find a kill. He just picked up that Blink Dagger instead of going for the bigger item, and I'm okay with this. Being able to choose which target or guide your Omni Slash towards the target is always really nice. Since you can use items inside the Omni, you can like blink towards and just make sure if they're trying to like split away from whoever's getting focused, and that'll be really nice to make sure Ember Spirit dies. But now they're going to take a ranged barracks up top at the very least. Visage Familiars put their damage into it, and with that Aghanim Scepter on 8 Mother, as well as the Assault Cuirass, these structures are falling very quickly. Jump in for Ravage, but the BKB means it only hits onto 2 supports in the backline, so they're not able to focus now. Jump into the base. Omnislash into Malum. Malum standing still, going to Remnant out of that one. Arrow doesn't have any other targets to go to, so the Omnislash is going to end. 8 Mother being focused down. A huge Echo Slam onto 3, going to be able to subsequently stun them up. Hanskin falling low and will fall now. Arrow, the only survivor still left inside this fight, and he's going to be focused down, but the right clicks are going to be too much. One more Arcane Bolt is going to be Manta dodged, but Arrow dies to the Skywrath Mage anyway. How did that happen? Jonas Sunfan is going to be silenced up by the Skywrath Mage, but with a heart, it's unlikely Axe is going to fall. It's a 4 for 3 and a bloodbath in the Dire base.
Well, Jonas Fan looking for a little bit more. He's going to mess up the Culling Strike onto Slash Strike, but the triple familiar drop will make it a 4 for 4. Faith in the Stranger is the only one alive, and he's going to be facing up against an Axe with heart regeneration. Yeah, I don't know what happened with that Arcane Bolt. It seems like he dodged it, and then he just, like, took delayed damage or something. I don't know. Maybe that's just not how it works. But either way, Lions still with the familiars active were honestly probably the things that were doing the most damage there for Lions. So Visage, even when he is dead, he's still doing quite a bit for his team. And House of Gamers, that was actually a pretty nice fight after a pretty bad Ravage, mostly because of CY's Echo Slam. But we can see now the difference between the two teams and how far ahead Lions truly are. Like, they got hit with a 3-4 man Echo Slam, and they got perfectly chain stun from there on after, but they were just tanky enough to withstand it on, you know, most of their heroes. Axe was still alive because he wasn't caught by that. And then House of Gamers, they just very quickly ran out of gas, and they weren't able to kill off these familiars. Even though they do have the likes of Anchor Smash and the Ember Spirit with the cleave, it just wasn't enough. And suddenly Lions, now they're 2 Raxes up ahead of House of Gamers. And, well, the top lane Rax is going to come very shortly as well. Not too many huge item picks on either sides because of that last fight. But, man, I mean, Lions have been taking these Raxes pretty easily. I can only imagine they're going to take the last one just as easy.
Yeah, even if they lose a couple of heroes here and there, it doesn't matter. There's still leaps and bounds ahead of the enemy team as far as gold is concerned. Axe outfarming everybody in the Dire side, and even the Visage is looking closer to the Ember Spirit than they'd really like to. Maelstrom now onto Handskin. They already have the Assault Cuirass, so that item is not going to be purchased. And the attack speed on Visage doesn't go to waste, with Gravechill he's able to clear out waves really quickly. And now Roshan is going to be attempted by Lions and is going to be dropped incredibly fast. Era is dishing. That's going to be Aegis towards 8 Mother, Cheese onto the Juggernaut, and presumably the next major item. There's some chains on a Jonas Sunfan, but House of Gamers, how do they defend this third lane?
Cross their fingers, press Ravage, and press Echo Slam, and hope it all goes for the best. Outside of those 2 skills hitting 4-ish heroes from Lions, it's going to be really difficult. And even if they do, like, you kill off 8 Mother, he's back again. You bring Juggernaut low, he's just going to cheese up again. So House of Gamers, they're really going to need some sort of miracle here. I think killing off the familiars is also going to be their best way of taking this fight. If they bring down the familiars, if they make sure Handskin doesn't have a resummon, most of the damage from Lions is out of the table. There's going to be a Ravage going to connect out to 8 Mother and Era. 8 Mother's going to get swapped out, has an Aegis even if he did go down. Now Jonas Fan going to jump in for Faith and Stranger, is going to chop him down. Now SLHD awkwardly in the back lines all by himself with still the familiars going at those towers. 8 Mother is going to be focused, has yet to pop the BKB. He's going to use the Aegis first. And in the meantime, Era in the back line is going to unleash that Omnislash. Malum stunned up, and he's going to be brought down. Jonas Fan just going to take a bath in the fountain, at least draw everyone's attention away from the fact that their Raxes are being destroyed. That's going to be Megas, and Jonas Fan is still alive, even though 4 heroes are wailing on him. He's going to survive for a little while longer. Era is going to kill off Slash Strike. I see why he gets a decent Echo Slam, but at this point, it's way too late. Buybacks galore from House of Gamers. Now 8 Mother is going to decide to use the BKB just for shits and giggles and is going to clean up the rest of those heroes. That's going to be GG called, and it's going to be Lions taking game number 1.
Yeah, it was a peculiar draft coming out from Lions, but it worked wonders for them. They just got so far ahead after a couple of subpar team fights coming out from House of Gamers, and they're going to be able to come away from this victory. So it seems that little bit of spice coming out from the Team Coast tier players has helped Lions, at least in this series.
All right, so Lions 1-0 up, guys. This is the best of 3, so House of Gamers is going to have to pull it back for one game if they want to have another chance. Otherwise, this might be the first elimination of the Battle of Central Europe Season 3, but we will take a look at that in the next game, which should be coming very shortly, guys. So don't go anywhere. Game number 2 is going to be coming your way very soon.